think we're all kind of creative, and at some point something happens and we stop. And some of us just kind of carry on with it. Like, you know, when you're a kid, you draw, and I clearly remember there is a point in the school where people stop drawing, and they're like, oh, I'm not good at it, and they'll stop doing it. And some of us just kind of go, meh, just might as well. So I'm originally from Colombia, and I always wanted to live somewhere else. I just wanted to see the world. My uncle was a painter in the 70s, and he always told me about Europe. He used to live in Paris, Spain, London, and I thought, you know, I fancy a bit of that. So I wanted to do that. So as soon as I finished school, I thought, okay, I'm out. I think people expect to go to university and get taught exactly how to do things, which wasn't the case. I think the important thing for me was to meet people who had the same ideas I had, and they were going through the same things, developing their work and looking at the different artists, and our tutors were there to sort of guide us to different things that otherwise we would have not looked into. I did a few internships in like animation companies because I was really into animation at the time, and then from there I moved on to advertising, and I worked in the advertising industry for about 4 years and interacting with all kinds of people, you know, not only artists or stuff like that. So, you know, see who's in charge, kind of understanding the inner workings of the creative industries. I never wanted to be in advertising fully. I never wanted to be like, oh, I want to be the best designer in advertising. I'd see it more as a stepping stone. Like, I needed to have that as part of my life to appreciate certain things, and you know, I live in London. It's a very expensive city, so I needed to have a proper job. So it's a lot of that, and as I was there, I never gave up on my plans on doing other things. I was working on my comics, I was working on my brand and my illustration stuff. So it kind of gradually happened, and one day I just went, okay, I can give it a try now. And then I quit my job, and everyone thought I was mad, and here I am. When I was at uni, like, I was forcefully trying to get a style, and it was very stressful, and I don't think it was working. I think the style sort of came in when I stopped trying, and I think a style really is just like the result of all your influences and your kind of practice together. And you know, I get a lot of people asking me like, oh, how do I get a style that people will recognize? And I always go, well, you know, stop trying, just kind of practice a lot and take a lot of influences from different artists that you look up to, and it will eventually happen, I think. I'm one of those people that when someone tells me I can't do something, or like there's a chance of things going really badly, and it's a really kind of like a brat thing to do, but I kind of want to show them that that's not the case, and kind of I use that as fuel to just sort of do things, you know. It's like, oh, they said I can't do this. Let's see, yeah. But, you know, I've wanted to be like an animator for like, you know, Cartoon Network, Disney, then you know, storyboarder for different things, comics. You know, when I was 12, I was really into superhero comics. So I wanted to do comics for Marvel, DC. Then I went through my college phase with like indie comics and like indie films, and then I wanted to do stuff like that. So, you know, I'm a result of that, all of those things together. Like, my style is that, you know, how I like anime, but I like American stuff, but I like European comics, and kind of just sort of gets into this pot, and that's me, that's who I am. On the American side, it will be Mike Mignola, who's like he's a comic book artist, but he's very different to the standard American stuff. So that's why when Americans look at my work, they can't connect it to Marvel or DC, but then they have this one guy that is the reference to something that looks different. So Mike Mignola, that's the one. And there is Taiyo Matsumoto, who's this Japanese artist who's not exactly like a manga artist, because he trained in France, so he's got this European influence on Japanese work. So it's like kind of a very strange looking anime and manga. And there is that, and there is an Italian guy called Gipi, who has beautiful line work, and I got obsessed with his work when I was in college. And yeah, so I have all of these three guys from different places, and I just work at it. Oh, and Ashley Wood, who's from Australia. He's like a painter, he's great. There's 1 month where I'm interested in animation, I will sit and do that. And there's 1 month where I'm just doing comics, I'll do that. I think it comes to me quite instinctively, where I'll feel like doing something, and because I need that bit of kind of push inside me that really, like, you feel like you need to do it, you need to get it out of your system. So if it's an animation, I'll sit down and do it, or if it's a comic, or, you know, tattoos, anything like that. I just have my mind on it and I just do it. And I don't think I consciously made a decision of being like, oh, I'll stop doing animation and then I'll do that. I think it just feels natural. And I think it's a result of a process that I've been getting used to now. So as you do something every day for a few years, you get used to things. And it's a result of taking notes, watching films, chatting to people, and it kind of builds up slowly, and it gets one day where you have all of this material and ideas and you go, okay, I need to do something with this, and then you get on with it. From full-time work, I appreciate how much time I have now, so I do my best not to waste it. So if I'm doing something, I'll try to think of it being useful to what I'm doing. So even if I take a whole day off and I go out and read books or read comics, I'll make sure I always carry like a tiny book with me to take notes and things like that. So I feel like like I'm doing something useful for my work. I've been doing this for a few years now, and it never feels like I'm working. I never wake up thinking, oh, I've got work to do, because every day is like, every second of my day is this, you know. Even when I'm out, I'm taking notes for it. You know, even when I'm playing video games, I'm thinking of things I can do with it later. When I got approached by Richard about it, I was told it was going to be a limited edition jacket, and I took one of the sketches I took to Japan. I had recently come back from Japan, and I wanted to do something with that. I had all these ideas and all this sort of visual identity that came from that trip. The Tengus, which is like this kind of Japanese demons, I think they're very visually strong, and I wanted to see that on clothing. I thought that would be really cool, so that's why I put that design together, and that's kind of how it started. So I started sketching it out, testing out colors, moving the elements, and yeah, then it just came about. I had a very constrained space because of the way the jackets are going to be printed, so I wanted it to be iconic within that kind of those dimensions that I was given. So I thought it needs to be something strong and something that would work within that. So I did it specifically for that brief, and the Tengus, they really work for it, because it's like one color, like faces are very easily recognizable for us, and then I just sort of used the elements of design with it, with the kanjis and the chrome, the Ronin chrome on it. So yeah, it was mainly the brief, mainly the constraints I had produced some of that. Yeah. My style is mainly about line work, so my line work will be there, and you know, my themes move a lot from I don't know, sort of kind of Dungeons and Dragons stuff to samurais and demons. So I think pretty much, you know, having a Tengu there is still my thing, with the colors and the kind of the way I've shaded everything. I think you'll be able to look at it and say, yeah, that's Chrome's work. Yeah. When I create stuff like jackets or like t-shirt designs, I'd like to wear them myself. So if it's something that I like and I can see myself wearing it, then I'll do it. Otherwise, I wouldn't put it out. And that's why, you know, I'm one of those people. I'll create something and I'll wear it, and you know, I'll feel silly because I'm wearing my own merch, but that's why I made it in the first place, because I think it's cool and I want to wear it. Yeah. So there's a lot of, you know, so Mignola, one of my influencers, he does a lot of that, and I love the way he puts skulls everywhere. So I did a lot of that. And you know, they're just cool. Like I'm not going to over intellectualize it. You know, skulls are cool and they look great, and you know, at the same time they remind you of mortality, and why not, right?